Got to get this wire out of my way. Yeah, this fan shroud comes off, and it's a two-piece fan shroud, which is nice. So you just got to take out the top half. So there's 10 millimeters down here too. Yeah, and sometimes them clips break because it's an old rusty piece of crap. These are already broken and gone over here. I put a couple 10 millimeter self-drilling screws over here to hold it together. I might do that on the other side too. Okay, let's get on with the water pump. Once in a while it comes out of this hole on the bottom when it's sitting. So it's time to replace it. This has got a really big nut on it. I guess it's a 36 millimeter, whatever equivalent and standard. You might be able to get a MacGyver wrench in here and use a hammer to get this off. I'm not going to do that because I got the fancy stuff. It is right-handed thread, so you don't have to go backwards. Some of these cars are left-handed. But yeah, this goes onto an air hammer, big long rod and this thing, and it's got the little wrench that holds onto it. These are really slick. You do this for a living, you might want to blow the dough on one of these things. You can use an air hammer and a chisel on these nuts sometimes too, and they'll come off. Maybe I'll try to hold on to it with something here. Usually doesn't take much. These things come right off. Whenever you take these off too, you never want to tip it this way. You always want to leave it upright or sideways because there's oil in here that can leak out, especially on these old ones when the seal goes bad. Remove belt. The tensioner right here. Just put a 3/8 on it. Oops, wrong way. Story of my life. 10 millimeters on here. If you don't have air, you're going to want to get these off before you take the belt off. Ring the bell. 13 millimeter. This goes like this. Now you're going to want to get a drain pan. If you want, you can loosen the petcock up on the radiator. This one's on this side, way down on the bottom. I'm not going to do that though. I'm just going to start pulling hoses, and I got a pan under here, and I'm going to just let it all drip out. I'm going to get this 10 millimeter off of here. Want a little more. That hose won't go down, that clamp won't go down, so I made it go up. Get this off real slow and try not to get it to pour all over the place like it just did. Here, I'm just going to leave it just a little loose so it dribbles out nice and slow. Now there's 4 9/16 on here. Small block Chevy, always 4 9/16. They've always been that way since forever and ever and ever. Since 1950. And there it is. There's my leaky weep hole. See that? Nice blood trail. This thing's been on here for a while. Yeah, I just gotta One of them razor blade holders and a razor blade. You got to be careful with these too. They like to break and snap and give you stitches and stuff. Well, if you go to the hospital for stitches anyways, I just use iodine and super glue, duct tape. I don't get stitches anymore. That's why people invented super glue. Yeah, make sure you get all that material off. When you think you got it all off, just run your finger around it. Make sure there's no high spots, because you know, the block is cast iron. It's really dark, so the material can hide on there really well. You think you got it all off, but sometimes it's not. On these gaskets that go right here and here, they always fall off, and they can be a real pain in the butt if you don't know what the heck you're doing. That's the stuff. High tack. Come on, focus. There it is. That's the stuff you're going to want to use for this. This will hold these in place. You just slather a little bit on here. You don't need a lot. Just a little fine little coat. And see the stamp side? See how there's stamp marks? See how it's raised right here? Don't use that side. Use the other side because it's flatter. Put that on here. Oh, it sticks to everything. It's really stringy, nice, nasty stuff. Put it on there. Let it dry for a couple of minutes. Okay, I let this sit for a few minutes. It should be nice and tacky and sticky and yucky. I don't know, there might be something better to use, but high-tack's been around since the beginning of time, and that's what I've always used for a gazillion years on small block Chevys and Fords and older stuff. So it works really well. Those won't just fall off when I go and try to put this thing on. Now, for all of you who are not small block Chevrolet fans and don't know a dang thing about them, this bottom hole right here on this water pump, it goes through. The other ones are fine. The other ones aren't like that. None of these go through. See that? But this one does. It goes through right into a water jacket. So you got to put sealant on that. You can probably tell by the goop on here, Chevrolet, they put sealant on all 4 bolts just because people run them home and they don't want to forget. So you only need to do one though. I'm going to pick this one. This one was probably in there because it's all wet and nasty. Most people use PTFE paste, the expensive stuff. I don't, because I'm too cheap for that. I use TFE and tape dope, tape sealant, whatever you call that crap. But yeah, I'll put a little bit of this on here. And I just put a little bit of tape on here. And I just kind of stretch it on. So yeah, I like to, I don't know, I just start the 2 top bolts. I stick them in here and get my socket, my extension. It's a little dark. And I know it's not a really good angle for you to watch this, but if you can't put a small block Chevy water pump in the dark, there's something wrong with you. If you really want to use a torque wrench on these get torqued to 45 foot-pounds if I remember right. That's just from memory. Really old memories. And you don't need to get all crazy getting this thing tight because the threads are always opposite the rotation of the engine, so it basically tightens up on itself. Well, it's supposed to. So you just get it a little bit tight. I have never seen one of them fall off. I'm sure someday I will, but I haven't yet. Fill it with coolant and let her buck.